Planters Bank was founded in 1946 by farmers and business owners because they needed a community bank that knew them and understood their business. A lot has changed since then, but Merchants and Planters Bank is still employee-owned and operated, and we're still committed to knowing and understanding the needs of every customer we serve. Great rates, fast turnarounds, and experienced local bankers ready to work for you. That's why you should choose Merchants and Planters Bank. Stop in any of our 12 locations or contact us at mnpbank.com.
And it says that we are on live on Cable 15 TV. How much longer? None. We're Hayden Schultz on this side, David Black on this side. Nobody in the middle, nobody on either side, nobody out there being the producer, the director. It's me and you talking to the camera and all of those fine folks who've joined in to watch Sports Unleashed. What's up, brother?
Not a whole lot. The voice and the face of Cable 15 TV.
There we go. Hey, when all things fail, I can always depend on my man, Hayden Schultz, to join whatever we need to join to make this thing work. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Another Manic Monday.
It is. I love it, don't you?
Wish it was Sunday.
If it were Sunday,
that'd be my fun day.
It'd be your fun day, but it'd also be the day that's closest to Monday, which is the sports day.
That's true.
And we're going to be on the air tomorrow night sometime. First of all, let's talk a little bit basketball. We've got girls' games going on tonight over there. If you want to go to the girls' games now. Playing Piggott, but tomorrow night Walnut Ridge comes into town. 4 basketball games start at 4 o'clock. Tell us what we got there.
Yeah, junior high girls, junior high boys, senior girls, senior boys, and I believe Little Dribblers is going to perform again halftime of the senior girls game and then halftime of the senior boys game. Kindergarten will be the senior girls game and then first graders senior boys game. So
packed
far,
house.
Yeah, I mean so far, and we had the DJ over there the other night. It was loud. It was a good environment, and girls couldn't come away with a win against Melbourne, but like I said on the broadcast, because I've heard it from everybody, well, Melbourne ain't going to be good this year because they got the McCarn girl graduated and the other girl that moved to Farmington a couple years ago.
Solid, aren't they?
They have still won 4 state championships in a row.
Right.
They are still the favorite until somebody knocks them off, David. They came in this year, in my mind, as the favorite to win 3A. And people were like, "Oh, you're crazy," and I'm like, well, "They win 4 in a row. Who else is?"
Right. It has to be the reigning champ needs to.
Absolutely, and they've lost some girls, obviously, that people talked about. But once you do that 4 years in a row, you built a culture. You've built an environment, and the girls that necessarily didn't get to play last year that get to play this year, they feed off of what they got to see last year, winning state titles and things like that. So.
Expectation.
Absolutely. And we've got a pretty good girls basketball team. I think they're 6-4 on the year is what I saw on Facebook. Beat Hoxie Friday night pretty handedly. Double-digit win, I believe. maybe 10 or 11
At Hoxie.
at Hoxie.
Yeah.
And you can spot Hoxie, 4 or 5 at Hoxie. Hoxie listeners, they probably don't ever like me, saying that, but that's the truth. And Walnut Ridge would back me up on that.
Oh well, I mean it's tough to win. It's tough to win up there. It's tough to win on the road wherever you go.
Absolutely.
I mean it doesn't matter. We can talk about whether it's Hoxie or whether it'd be tough to win at Walnut Ridge. It's going to be tough to win at Rivercrest. Tough to win at Piggott. It's tough, especially in basketball. And I think basketball is one of those environments. And you take Tuckerman for example. It's tough for anybody to go in at Blythe Story Gymnasium and beat the Bulldogs.
Absolutely.
In fourth grade basketball. Yeah. I know they play at Swifton, but I'm just telling you, it's tough to win if you're a visiting team going into Bulldog country.
It's just a small, gym as far as they pack you in there. You're on the floor. And, some of these schools that play don't necessarily get that. That's the first time that they get to feel that. I know one time when we went and played in the Kale, Newport, I felt like we were a little shocked at how close you are because you could run down the floor on a fast break, give somebody a high five up at the concession stand.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's just all right there, and I think it really does play a factor in some of these schools that don't necessarily have those small, compacted gymnasiums. I like it because as far as every night at Tucker, you can sell that place out.
Right.
I mean, and it's always
loud.
It's always loud. It's always a good environment, especially when Newport goes over there and plays. Fire marshal, I don't know who's responsible, but max capacity 1,500, we slide 2,200 in there.
That's right.
I mean, it is slam packed. It is elbow to elbow in there. So, and we got them coming up on the schedule. It's a conference game this year, so that'll always be fun. Get to play them there and get to play them here first, I believe.
Yeah, January the 6th.
On Bill Osher night.
I was going to mention that. The Bulldogs come into town on January the 6th. And, of course, we'll live stream tomorrow night's game, too. I didn't mention that. We'll live stream. But looking ahead to that, big dedication and a well-deserved honor for the late Coach Bill Osher. Talk a little bit about that, Hayden.
Yeah, something that they got done, I believe, at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. Actually got it put on the floor. And I'm glad that they're actually giving a presentation and a good time to do it, because of the family as far as the impact he's had on Jackson County, not just Newport.
Spent a lot of years in Tuckerman.
Jackson County,
absolutely.
And I think it's a great time. I think you'll get a lot of people from Tuckerman that'll just come for that,
right?
Not necessarily just for the game. And I think it's a real good time and a real good honor, to do that for Bill Osher, especially when you play Tuckerman.
Well, he spent time up there, and he spent time at Newport, and like you say, put the name on the court. But to have a special presentation like that to a guy who touched a lot of lives in Bulldog and Greyhound country. I mean, a lot of guys will still tell you, I played for Coach Osher, and he taught me a lot about life. He taught me a lot more than basketball. He taught me a lot about school. He taught me a lot about education. He just taught me a lot about living and how to raise a family. And that's just, Bill's you would think, if you didn't know Bill Osher when he was living, and you just watched him on the basketball court, you'd think he's a very quiet, unassuming guy, and he was. But if you sit down and talked with him about basketball or sports, very, very, very knowledgeable. If you could get, and you can't anymore, but Stan McKee and Bill Osher to sit down and talk sports with those two guys, you're going to get an earful.
They got the same demeanor too,
and you're going to learn a lot. You think you think, well, these guys, as quiet as they are, but man, when it comes to knowing about their what they know in sports and how to teach it, how to groom young men and young women, I mean, those guys are heroes.
Yeah.
Those guys are heroes. Stan McKee, Bill Osher. I mean, many years in the Greyhound athletic department. But anyway, looking back forward to January the 6th, that'll be a big night. Bulldogs come in here and then the presentation of that, and I'm sure they'll do some little dribblers that night too.
I think the last year we played them is when they beat us 3 years in a row, or 3 times in a row.
Is that right?
They beat us at their place when we were up late, beat us here late in the game, and then in the district finals when we met them in the finals.
Well, we had a beat up there.
Oh yeah,
we had Tuckerman beat, and then Ben Keaton showed up. I mean, would you say, or took over, or
I would say take over would be. Yeah,
he took over. He decided he wanted to play the fourth quarter, and it was just like you couldn't stop him. Yeah, I mean, you just couldn't stop the guy, and he was just incredible that night.
They ain't stopping him at Williams Baptist.
No, they're sure not.
And, on Ben's team, he had a couple other kids that are playing at CRC, the Robertsons kids,
Right, yeah,
Bo and Kamani. They've got to play the other night. I thought that was pretty cool. They've had some good basketball, in just the past few years that we've got to broadcast it.
Right.
So it'd be a time for the Hounds to get one.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to, and winning a basketball game the other night and the senior boys. You talked about the girls, and I mean the senior boys and beating Melbourne's high school team, coming off, and you say, well, they played football on Friday night and they played basketball on Tuesday night, and we played football 1 week prior to that.
Yeah.
It's difficult to come off the football field and then go straight to the basketball court, and the Hounds did have at least a week. You could just tell the kids from Melbourne were just a little off. I mean, they're a little off with their jump shots, a little off with their passing, and Hounds pulled away with a 15-point victory, and it'll be tough to go on the road later on in the year when that bunch has had a time to practice because they've got a quality basketball team.
Oh, yeah, for sure, and I think it would be a real good matchup as far as getting in February in a district tournament setting because both teams will be there's no question Melbourne's got a very talented athletic group of kids over there, especially senior-led this year. You saw it in their football team with the Bray kid and Trey Wren and those guys. So I think it'll be one of those we could match up in a final of a district championship. I mean, that very well could happen, both of those teams. Not to overlook anybody else in the conference, but the boys, beating Hoxie Friday night, 20-piece, I think. So they've won both their conference games. One by 15 and one by 20. So, I mean, Hound's looking real good, and I think it was a lob fest from what I heard.
Right.
Justin Dole posted that on Facebook. It looked like Kendall had him a couple dunks. Pooty had a couple dunks. It looked like Hounds were running out in transition. I thought they did a really good job Friday night. Not trying to put the ball on the floor too much.
Right.
Get it out and go. Don't necessarily set it up in the half-court offense, which we did at a time or two where we, set a high pick and did things like that, moving the ball around. What separates this Newport team from maybe years past, and not necessarily, the district championship, regional champion, runner-up a few years back with Chris Reynolds, there's length everywhere.
Right.
I mean, when Isaiah Kendall comes off the bench,
right.
I mean, that's saying a lot about your team.
Spark. Yeah.
And, we're playing 10, 11, 12 guys off of the bench, letting those guys play. I mean, you've got phenomenal athletes, very lengthy. I mean, when Denton is bringing the ball up the floor, he's 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
And he's got a wingspan that looks like of 7'11".
He could be a post guy. And he's a point guard.
And Curry's down there, and I like Curry, and I think it fits him playing the 5 because of how aggressive he is.
He's a banger.
And he and I'm not saying this to be, necessarily rude about it, but he's a trash bucket guy.
Absolutely.
He's not going to knock down the 12.
And he's not going to take it out at the wing or the corner and shoot him a 15, 18-foot jump.
No, he's going to grab a board and he's going to put it back in. So, and then John Moore, him coming back in the season he had last year, I mean, led the Hounds in scoring. And then you get Money Wren who moves up, and I really like Wren bringing the ball up the floor and letting Pooty and Moore create their own shot without having to bring the ball up the floor.
Right.
I love the length that we have, and we've got shooters. I think that's going to be a big difference come February when we can go in and out game and we can hit the big 3 and also run in transition.
You have to be able to shoot the basketball sometimes when you can't get on the break. They're getting back. They're playing. They're not going to let you snowbird. You've got to be able to set up in an offense and shoot a shot from the perimeter, which everybody knows once you do that, once you hit a shot or two and the other team realizes that you can shoot a shot or two, then they have to come out away from the basket some, which makes for a lot of those trash buckets when you miss those shots that
Absolutely.
you need to hit.
And I'm not necessarily jumping forward and look – but I see a lot of this team. I see a lot like the Osceola team last year.
Right.
As far as how many guys they play,
Yep.
how lengthy we are, how we like to run in transition. And I think later on in the year, if we can find our shot, and guys, we've only played basketball for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Of games. Now, we practice for a little bit longer than that. There's kids actually in off season who do that, and I'm not taking anything from those guys, but we hadn't played real basketball but for maybe half a month.
Right.
And I really do believe with the guys that we have, Noah Curtis coming off the bench, that's a guy who you'll see him slide over in the corner. He'll hit a couple threes. I've seen him do it, especially last year. There's Bill Williams checked in. The
Yep.
first thing he did, fired up 3.
Yes,
Nothing
sir.
But the bottom
of the net.
I mean, we have got guys who are going to come in and play, not necessarily big minutes, but they're going to come in. They're going to give you 8, 12 minutes, and they're going to give you hard, fast-paced defense.
DJ Marshall, Crichton. You didn't mention Crichton.
Yeah.
I mean, we're athletic.
Crichton, he already knows.
He knows, doesn't he?
He already knows.
Yeah, he already knows.
But I thought the real big difference in the Melbourne game is when they put him on 12, their
Absolutely
best player.
right. Yeah.
You know, after the first quarter, they were like, oh, 12 scored every one of their points in the first quarter.
Right.
Crichton, you're going to guard him. And then he still got a couple.
He's
but
a
he didn't
difference
get as
maker
many.
with him. Yeah, he's a difference maker. Crichton is on the defensive end.
So,
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
think that's something that Crichton's probably going to have to do for us. You know, like Jerry Woods a few years back.
Right.
He was a guy that was, I think, maybe undervalued, underappreciated. But as far
You
as
go guard the guy. You go guard the guy who's scoring all the points.
yeah, he's not going to go get his 15, 20 points that he's
Right.
capable of going getting every night because he's following this guy 90 feet down the floor and into the locker room and to the bathroom, the concession stand if he's got to. So, Hounds will be fun to watch.
They will be fun.
Both teams will make a run in February.
All right, I want to talk a little football, kind of put a recap on that. We're not going to be here long tonight, but I do want to recap, talk about in AAA. Hands down, we thought when Charleston won the ball game against the Greyhounds and we played those guys, we all said, there's nobody that can beat that bunch. And nobody could.
We were right.
And we were right. And nobody played them even. Now, Nashville beat them earlier in the year in a great football game, I think 27-19.
Yeah, you know what Nashville did?
Yeah, they finished in the top 4 in 4. I mean, they were real good too. They weren't quite as good as Malvern and Arkadelphia that we'll talk about a little bit. But just talk momentarily about the Charleston run, because those guys, I know you watched some of the game, they just dominated Boonville. Again, the first time they played Boonville had like 8 or 9 starters out. They got all those starters back. It didn't make any difference.
No.
It didn't make any difference. Charleston was good. They were hands down the best football team in AAA.
And going into the Charleston game when we played them, I thought that it could be a shootout.
Right.
I thought that it would come down to maybe who had the possession last. And then when I was reading on their defense, the week prior going into it, I'm like, yeah, but they hadn't necessarily played anybody that, has the offense that we have, has the
Right.
capability and the athletes. And then you go watch it and you're like, all right, well, their defense is as good as anybody's. And their offense is better than everybody.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So it's going to be very tough.
And they had a great kicker, punter, special teams were great.
29 kids.
Yeah, I know.
29 kids in 3A football. I kind of like their rule as far as their ninth graders. They get to move up in practice, but they don't get to move up in the games. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's pretty cool. Make them necessarily earn it, but that's pretty cool. And obviously, Charleston had the best football team all year, beating Boonville 41-12 in a 3A championship game.
Right.
And if Melbourne was there, you'd like to think it'd be a little bit different, but it might be only 41-21 or something like that.
Yeah.
They were obviously the best team, but to recap the Hounds, I mean, 2 of your losses were from teams that were in the top 4.
That's correct.
One was the state champion, and one I would say would probably be the 3rd best team in the state,
Right.
getting beat by Boonville.
And
then
played Boonville off their feet.
had a chance to win.
Yeah,
at the end of the
absolutely
game.
they did. Yes, sir.
And then you go to a Stuttgart team who I believe finished 2nd out of their conference behind Harding Academy, who was state runner-up. We can talk about that if you want to later, David. And the other loss that the Hounds had this year was BB, a team that would have made the playoffs but got pointed out.
2 classifications above us.
2 classifications above us playing in the 5A. 2 or 3 teams had the same record. They beat so-and-so by so many points, and that's what I'm meaning by getting pointed out. Or they would have been in the 5A playoffs.
That's right.
So, I mean, nothing to hang your hat, I don't think, at all for Coach Reardon and the Hounds. I think it's something to build off of. When you get beat like that against Charleston, I know he talked about that. That's something that's bulletin board material as far as, hey,
Well, there's the standard.
Yeah, here's these guys.
Yeah, here's the standard.
And that's what we're shooting to be. And it feels like we might be light years away from there right now. But right now is where you make yourself, up to those guys. You got to go in that weight room. You got to really buy in and believe. Because that's where Charleston wins.
That's exactly right.
You can go watch them when they fire off the ball, how they do everything. Those guys hit the weight room. I don't have to see anything as far as who benches what. I bet you right now, if they got 29 kids, I bet 5 of them bench over 300 pounds. And I
Right.
bet, and they don't have one kid on their offense and defensive line who's 300 pounds.
Right.
They probably got 10 guys who are in the 1,000-pound club in the 3 lifts. I mean, they've got athletes, and they've got guys who obviously will work and put in the time in the off season. That's what we got to do this year. In order to get to where we want to be with Charleston, we've got to put in that work.
You mentioned Harding, and Harding had had a great year. Coach Neil Evans, once again, they have to move up to 4A and play in a little bit more difficult conference. But boy, just chewed a lot of folks up, and then just ran into a buzzsaw of a team in the finals. But realistically, Harding beat the best 4A team in the state of Arkansas, which was Arkadelphia.
Yeah,
Arkadelphia beat Malvern 49-12 or 49-13. It was in September, late in September. But then again, Malvern just got hot when they needed to get hot, and just Harding just couldn't. I mean, they just couldn't hang, and that's nothing against Harding's grit and ability to play, because their kids play extremely hard and they're well coached. They just ran into a real good football team who was hot.
And that usually happens a lot more times than not, as far as the team who's the best overall or who everybody says is the best overall doesn't win state championship.
Right.
Other than Charleston. And I'll stand beside that.
They were the best.
Everybody was talking about Prescott, and I even got on the hype as far as Prescott going to Charleston's best team by far in the 3A this year. But like you said, I think that the Arkadelphia Harding game should have been a state championship game.
Right.
I think the AAA needs to do something about, as far as the overall ranking needs to be on one side. Number 1 needs to be here, and number 2 needs to be here, and then you fill in everybody else. Because it worked out in 2A this year as far as Hazen and Carlisle. They were the 2 best teams in 2A.
Right.
It just happened that they were in the same conference, so that's why they got set up on the other side. But the Arkadelphia game, David, I went, tried to get you to go. You didn't go. You were sick, whatever. Had whatever going on with you.
What a great game.
Didn't want to sit out in the rain. Best football game I've ever watched.
Great game.
Live high school football game, best game I've ever watched. Man, just the adjustments and the belief in those kids.
I know Harding would have at least 2 scores.
Yeah, 21-7.
Yeah, 21-7 at one time.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And here they come, just chipping. Here comes a pick. Here comes a 3 and out. Here comes a 4 and out.
Right.
And then they just keep on. They don't get off script. They don't get flustered. They just do what they do. And it was a great, great game. I got glad I went to that game because you bailed out on me, and I was like, no, I paid my $7. I'm going. I'll go stand by myself. And I ended up getting on the sideline. Sat on the new bricks that they had there.
Yeah.
I got to sit on the sideline,
Nice.
talk to the security officer there. He let me sit there, and I just sat on, right off the sideline, watched the whole game there. It was awesome.
Had I been with you, he might have looked at me and went, this guy can't come down on the sideline.
Well, maybe it was a good thing I went by myself.
I
But
guarantee you.
recap that Malvern game, the Dupree kid. I don't know I didn't hear of any big schools. I heard Arkansas Baptist said that they were looking at him.
Wait, 33 carries, 291 in a state championship game
Unbelievable.
against a defense that I'm telling you is as good as anybody. I mean, just remarkable.
I think Harding, and I will double check this and get back with you. I don't think Arkadelphia ran for 100 yards on him. So I'm not sure. Stuttgart was the only team who had 100 yards rushing on them.
Okay.
And they got a big run, maybe a 40, 50-yard run at the end of the game with the second team.
Gotcha.
With their starter.
Gotcha.
So other than that, I don't know if anybody's rushed for 100 yards on them. And this guy
old boy got 291.
did almost 300 by himself. And
Rushed for 2,830-something yards, and then in Madre Hill in 93 when they won a state championship, rushed for almost 2,900, about 50 yards more than that. And everybody knows Madre Hill went on to Arkansas, had a great run at Arkansas. And but, I mean, this kid was just absolutely phenomenal. And they were big up front. They were fast on defense. And, again, they were playing well when they needed to play well. And that's how you win state championships.
that's it. I mean, it's usually the hottest team, not necessarily the best team. It's the hottest team. And Malvern just happened to be a little bit hotter than Harding Academy. I wish that AAA would have done something with the game. As far as maybe move it back to Sunday, I didn't like the big delay. I didn't like
almost 3 hours.
And then the field's wet, and I'm not saying that because Harding likes to throw it or
Right.
I just want to see both teams on a clear, beautiful day.
Right.
And I want to see them go at it. And you're playing on turf, and it's not like the field was just a mud pit or anything like that. But I think the AAA could have handled it a little differently because they knew the weather was coming.
Right.
I mean, they even put it out there that the weather was coming on their website, and then they didn't do anything but just push the game back. And then Boonville and Charleston, they don't play until 9 o'clock.
Right.
And poor Malvern, they win their first state title since 1993, I believe. Mm-hmm. As soon as they win it, they're like, you got to get off the field.
Got to get off.
We got another team.
Yeah.
And it takes away from those kids that just won a state championship. Let them embrace it, be with their coaches, be with their players. It's the last time a lot of them will ever get to come back there. So, I mean, I think the AAA, screwed the pooch on it once again. I'm not going to harp on AAA.
I do want to get into the AAA deal on something else here in a minute. I want to ask you your opinion on. But if you look at some of the scores, Bryant won their 5th in a row, 36-7 over
Bryant
Bentonville.
University.
Bryant University.
They're playing in the SWAC next year.
Well, they'll win it. I'm telling you. And, and 6A, 5A, excuse me, Parkview beat Shallow 31-21. Parkview, who just been was a great program in the 70s and early 80s, and then they fell on some real hard times and had a great football team. Parkview, the swing, PA did win 42-35 over Greenwood. So Bentonville loses, Greenway loses, and Shallow loses. And I say that to show you the power has kind of switched from Northwest Arkansas back to Central Arkansas again. And there's a lot of great football going on in Central Arkansas.
Oh yeah, and Bryant, I don't know if they'll ever get beat as far as the program that they've got, and I don't know how necessarily their school system works, but if you're in a 100-mile radius, why wouldn't you go to Bryant? Mm-hmm. Especially if you play football.
Right.
Because years and years they've been, a powerhouse in baseball.
Right.
And, they always would get the baseball. And most of the football kids went to Benton.
That's correct.
Benton, always.
For years.
And now it's not even close. I mean, 31-6 was the final, Bentonville West. And Bentonville West, I think, was the second best team in 7A.
36-7, yeah.
36-7.
36-7.
So, I mean, it's unbelievable. Like you said, Central Arkansas, they've got a lot of things going on. Parkview winning that game. That was a good win for their coach. The guys at North Little Rock was assistant there. He was there when that all went down with the KJ Hill,
right.
I believe.
Yep.
Kind of tarnished his reputation, took the head coaching job at Parkview, has built it up, and Parkview's best team in 5A this year.
If you can coach, you can coach.
He can coach. And he's got some guys. He did some wrinkles and things like that. I really enjoyed watching that game. And then PA.
What do you say? I mean, beat a great Greenwood team. I mean,
what was funny about that game is we're sitting there watching. It's 4th down.
And I didn't see a play of that one, so you can talk.
Fourth and 26. And I'm like, they're going to go for it right here. And they don't. They punt.
PA.
I watched them punt 3 times, and they kicked off deep 3 times. Went away from, they were a team that always went for it.
Right.
Always. And I was like, what's going on? Why are they,
new coach. And,
what are they doing? Why are they not going for it? I want to see them go for it. But I think it was obviously the right call, and PA, and I think that they've been to 8. They've won 8 of the past 9, and they've been to 9 out of the past 10.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Something like that. They've been to 9, or I think 8 consecutive state championship games.
Is it Anthony Lucas, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the new coach, and Coach Kelly was there for a long, long time.
8 consecutive.
That's pretty salty. That's back, the Dollarway run against Newport that time. I think they won 5 in a row. Maybe won 5 in a row.
Well, they won like 88, 89, 90.
90.
And then
dropped to double A.
Dropped to double A. And I think
won a couple.
Won in 91 maybe.
Yeah, maybe one or maybe.
Well, because we won in AAA in 91, right?
That's correct. But Dollarway won. Yeah, Dollarway won in 91 too. I think they won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I think they won 5 state championships in a row. And
I heard that they're not even going to be a school anymore.
I've heard that too.
That they're going to consolidate with Pine Bluff.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I heard that, and I said, well, Pine Bluff will be really good next year.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We got a few more minutes, but I do want to talk about Hayden. I want to talk about our All-Staters that we had, and I want to clarify something. in AAA, our conference every conference gets 8 All-Staters. That's all they get. You get 8. And you have to have 4 linemen, and you have to have 4 backs. Okay? So
Quarterback, running back, receiver.
that's correct. That's correct. A skill player.
Yeah.
Offensive, defensive lineman, linebacker, whatever, then skill player. So we're very limited on how many we can get, and I'll get into the other numbers, but I want you to talk about Newport's selections. And sometimes guys just get left out. I mean, you know, we had 3 guys that make All-State, 1 make honorable mention All-State, and but talk a little bit about that group.
Yeah, Kylan Kright, C.J. Young, and Jacob Ozier. With I think Melbourne maybe got 4, we got 3, and Quitman
That's
got
correct.
1.
That's correct.
3 guys who deserved it. I mean, they went out there and put it out on the line and you know, got voted amongst their peers as far as in the conference to win it. I thought that there was no doubt C.J. Young was going to be an All-Stater. Even
Right.
if I think if we had one, that would probably be the guy as far as for the Hounds, a big leader for us this year offensively, and then coming in late playing defensively. Jacob Ozier up front playing offense and defensive line, battled his
Just
way
a
all
battler.
year.
Battler.
Yeah, played special teams. I think he maybe deep snapped on the punt. You know, I think we ended up throwing it back to Marshall, but played special teams as well. And then Kright was kind of a do-it-all guy. Punt return, kick return, cornerback, receiver. He did it all for us.
1,000-yard receiver.
1,000-yard receiver, first ever in Newport High School. And then Isaiah Kendall, like you said, an honorable mention. A guy that's going to end up his career with over 2,000 receiving yards.
2,000 receiving yards
At Newport. And I think that's a phenomenal thing in itself. And another guy, kickoff return, punt return, cornerback safety, receiver, kind of a do-it-all guy. We had a lot of guys that, like you said, that might have got left off. But when you only get 8, I mean,
Get 8 in the conference, and we had 7 teams. You get only 8 All-State players, but it's a good group. I mean, and those. I mean, in all fairness, we had other guys that if you were in a higher classification conference, here's where my bone is with Arkansas Activity Association. Not mad at them, but I understand if you're a higher classification team, if you're a 7A school and you got 80 players. I understand. I understand. I get it. But 7A gets 24 All-Staters per conference. 6A gets 24 per conference. 5A.
7A only has 2 conferences.
That's correct. 5A gets 23 per, but it's been this way when they had 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When they had 4 conferences. And then 2A, 3A, 4A only get 8 per conference. And regardless how many conferences or how many teams are in your conference, I just think when some schools are getting 24 in the whole division, I don't know. 8-man gets 8. 4A gets 8. I just think you need to get more because I think there's just as many kids that are deserving. They may not be as good as the great football players in 7A. Obviously, it's harder to make the 7A football team than it would be to make the 3A football team. I take that for granted. That's correct.
But by a number standpoint, wouldn't it be harder to be an All-State player in 3A, 4A, 2A than it would be All-Stater in 7A?
Absolutely. Yeah, because the numbers are numbers alone. But anyway, that's here or there. But congratulations to our guys, and I'm sure they'll announce the all-conference and what do they call it? All-district, all-conference? All-conference. And that'll be coming up. And but, overall, you look at high school football, and I think it was just a great year. And the Arkansas Activity Association does a wonderful job. They do a great job in having to, when you have as many schools as we have and you have as many programs that are going on that these guys have to oversee. And they've got a great staff down in Little Rock. And, they go from corner to corner of the state of Arkansas and have to, they are the rules and regulation people. And they do a ton of great things for high school football. And, we're proud to be associated with them. And, they do a great job with the playoffs. And, you can't thank them enough for what they do. And again, what a great year. We'll have Coach Reardon join us here probably maybe next week or so, and we'll rehash some more about the all-district players and so on and so forth. But final thoughts before we get out of here, Hayden.
Tune in tomorrow night, conference battle. I think senior girls, senior boys. Take it to Walnut Ridge tomorrow.
There you go.
I think the girls are 1-1 in the conference, and boys are 2-0. So got a chance to be 3-0. Got a chance to be over 500.
We've got the Two Chicks Florist and More birthday report coming up. Then we'll have the customized look back. Finally got together and put the Robert Turner highlights together, and then a post-game show will follow. Then, of course, the ending here on Sports Unleashed. And as always, go Hounds. Two Chicks Florist and More birthday report. Today, Monday, December the 12th, Crystal Snyder has a birthday. Hannah Nicole Fears with a birthday. Connie Bomer also. Happy birthday to those three. On Tuesday, a bunch of birthdays on tomorrow, the 13th. Johnny Long has a birthday. Shirley Campbell, Trey Parnell, Bud Melton, Justin Parks, Jason Lambert has a birthday tomorrow. Jeff Evans, Zane Watkins, Debbie Ann Watkins, Paige Watkins has a birthday. Melissa Critcher has a birthday. Janice Johnson, Tara Blevins, and Jessica Winston, all with birthdays on the 13th. On the 14th, Scylla Bennett Easter with a birthday. Mark Whitsitt, Ricky Camp, Richard Benson has a birthday. Ellen Baumgartner, Zaywin Smith, and Morgan Watkins, all with birthdays on Wednesday. On Thursday, Channing Thomas, former Newport Greyhound coach Bill Keppel, Tracy Emery with a birthday on Thursday as well. And Friday's birthdays, Sammy Joe Nicholson turned 67 years old. Linda Head has a birthday on Friday the 16th. Angie Dixon has a birthday also. Ruth Mulvaney with a birthday. Dorsey Wilmans, Michael Ludwig with a birthday. Kevin Tate, Sheila Reed, Jeremy Decker, and Edward Hooper, all with birthdays on Friday the 16th. And then on Saturday, Ginger Bullard, Alan Fisher, Ben Glidewell, Rick Dobson, all with birthdays on the 17th. And on the 18th, Charlie Steele has a birthday. Former Newport Greyhound head football coach Mark Hasley with a birthday on the 18th. And Grace Metzger also has a birthday on Sunday the 18th. Dr. Jim Dupree, Jimmy Brumley, and Ryan Wilson, all with birthdays on Sunday the 18th. If we didn't wish you a happy birthday, well, we're wishing you a happy birthday now. And remember, Two Chicks Florist and More is the place to shop for Christmas gifts.
Marshall this time kicks it deep inside the 30, fielded near the 26-yard line as Charleston set up a return on the other end, and Brendan Curry looks to be there on the tackle, and it looks like Karun Spearman also in on the tackle.
Jack Sampson in on the tackle as well.
On 1st and 10. Here's the snap, and the give is to Young. Young inside barrels his way through as he gets up near the 30-yard line. be just shy of a first down.
And that's a good positive play to start that drive right here with C.J. Young up the middle. Got some good blocking from the offensive line, and C.J. just barrels his way down.
Here's the snap. Quarterback throws the screen out wide. And he is met. There's a big lick there. B.J. Elston, Tonio Phillips, and Kylan Cried on the tackle. And boots it deep, and it looks like the Hounds will get to return this near the 7-yard line. As Kylan Cright makes the guy miss and got some blocking outside. Kylan Cright still on his feet. And a shoestring tackle in the best field position yet for the Hounds. Here's the snap and a jet sweep with Cright. Cright getting outside, good blocking. Cright's going to be wrestled down near the 37-yard line as they get him squared away, and Charleston brings the house yet again. And a great high point catch over there on the sideline with Isaiah Kendall, and it looks like he's got enough for a Greenway Equipment Company first down. Snap, quarterback rolling out, looking to throw. Under pressure, looks near the sideline. It's going to be incomplete.
It's a great job of defense there by the Hounds of putting pressure on the quarterback, and great job on the back end for our defensive backs of covering their guys.
Hounds only bring 3 as Ozier now pressures him and looks to throw and batted away by B.J. Elston, and that's the things you have to do.
That is great, tremendous effort there by B.J. Elston to get to that football and bat it down. That's exactly right, Hayden. Those are the plays you have to make to stay in this football game and to have a chance here tonight at Charleston.
Well, 4th and about 2.
Could be the turning point right here if you can get a stop. Snap, quarterback calls his own number. He didn't get it. He didn't get it. Here's the snap, and the inside handoff is going to be brought down for a loss, and that's Tyler Ridley on the play. Snap, quarterback rolling out under pressure, goes back the other way, and Brendan Curry's going to bring him down for a big sack and a turnover on downs near the 30-yard line.
Big play in the football game there. Just that pressure again. We talk about the pressure.
Snap and the give up the middle as Young's going to meet him near the line of scrimmage. Jacob Ozier to bring him down. Here's the snap. Marshall throws it out in the flats. Got Malik Robinson open. Malik with a big first down. The Greenway Equipment Company first down. Now on 4th down, we throw it to Kendall. He goes up and gets it, and it's a foot race, and Kendall's going to go to the house. And the Hounds are going to get on the board here with Isaiah Kendall and possibly his last catch as a Newport Greyhound. And Prescott, very familiar, have matched up in the playoffs as Denton looks to throw, but we do have a flag, and it's going to connect with Drennan. Charleston punches their ticket to a semifinal appearance. The Hounds fall here 48-6 as we'll have the postgame report coming right up. Here, 48-6, as we'll have the post-game report coming right up. As we bring you the Bank of England post-game report, go see Kenny Thaxton or Cheryl Smart-Looper for all your home loans and refinancing options. Check out the refinancing rates by calling our office at 870-495-3931 or Kenny Sell at 501-590-3346. Go Hounds from the class of 1990 Greyhound lending team. And the Hounds fall here 48-6 on the road at Charleston in the quarterfinals. And like Ben said, when the season with a 9-win season, the first year under Coach Brian Reardon. Had definitely our ups and downs this year. Dropped a game at Melbourne that, we felt like we should have won that, Melbourne, along with Stuttgart and BB, and now Charleston, the 4 losses on the year. 4 quality football teams. And we'll have the same schedule next year as far as our non-conference and conference opponents. And look to make a deeper run. I mean, that's the thing at Newport football, and I think Coach Reardon said it himself, never satisfied. I mean, quarterfinal is kind of a thing. That should be your stepping stone. That should be where we need to be each and every single year. And obviously our goal is to always go further than that. But a good season here for the Hounds. I'm proud of them. Until next time, go Hounds, everybody.
We're on with Coach Brian Reardon in Subway in the Newport Walmart Coach's Report. Coach, we ran into a buzzsaw tonight, but let me tell you what, we won 9, second round, won 2 in the playoffs. We're on the right track, my friend.
Well, I hope so. Nobody wants the last game of the year to be that ugly. We knew they were good, and we knew we was going to have to play hard. I didn't see it being that bad. But sometimes when the wheels fall off, they fall off sometimes, man. And then you have to get out of your game plan, and you have to start doing silly stuff and stuff that you didn't really plan on doing. When you get out of your game plan against a really good team, it's tough, man. Hats off. If that's not the state champion, I'd hate to see who is.
Yes, if somebody better than those guys, they're real good. But I know this, but I don't want to harp on this. But a great start to your career, to win 9, get to practice. The practice on Thanksgiving Day yesterday was awesome. I mean, to bring that tradition back, to have that. I mean, it's been an awesome year, and it's hard to swallow when it's 48-6. It's hard to swallow, but let me tell you what great things are happening for our program.
Absolutely. Like I said, we could build on back-to-back quarterfinal years, like the good old days. We'll see if we can go back-to-back next year. Long way to go before we worry about that. We're going to kind of rest our wounds and enjoy next week. I'm going to meet with the seniors and kind of have a talk with them and let them kind of have their exit interviews, and I hate all that. And that's the sad part of the year, but they have nothing to be ashamed of. They, like I said, they're the first class in 20 years, you said. They have been back-to-back quarters, so hats off. Again, I hope you're right. I hope we're building towards the semis and those state championship runs again. Those are tough.
Well, listen, y'all stay healthy, get healthy, and get you all season going good. We'll visit Monday. We'll have a show Monday night. Maybe I won't be sick this week, but we're out of the playoffs. It's so much, but let me tell you what, football starts again Monday. You'll have a lot of stuff to do in the off season to get these guys going.
Absolutely. As a coach, you're depressed for about a week. When you get done, no matter when it was,
right, yeah.
And then after that, you just got to get back up and you start looking for the future and you start looking at those young kids. And we had some nice girls out there tonight. Money Rents also significant play time, and that's just the way you got to be. You just got to move on for the future and keep building.
He's Coach Brian Reardon. He's the head football coach, athletic director of the Newport Greyhounds. We'll talk more with him Monday night. And as always, go Hounds!
Appreciate you, man.
Take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors on Cable 15 TV, Facebook Live, Sports Unleashed. And that list is long, and we certainly appreciate all of them, or we wouldn't be able to put these programs together. Included in that list is C&M Ag Depot at 2900 Highway 367 North. Farm supplies, hardware, clothing store, power tools, you name it. Before you shop out of town, come see us at C&M Ag Depot. Dias Scrap Metal, buying cars, iron, copper, cans, brass, steel, stainless, electric motors. They buy everything and they pay in real money. Give them a call at 523-3858 for more information. Fletcher Land Surveying. Before you build that fence, make sure you have accurate boundaries. If you don't, you might mess up and have to tear it down. Give Kenny a call at 523-5625. Other sponsors include Fathead Pizza. That's one word and it's all caps. And it's the Hembry Brothers, Joey and Marcus. Great pizza, fresh, hot sandwiches, and the salad supreme that's second to none. You can call your order in at 870-201-1313. They'll have it ready to go. It'll be piping hot when you pick it up. Delta Trailer, been involved for 50 plus years right here in Newport, Arkansas. Dale Lee started this business many years ago in his backyard. And he built one trailer, and then one trailer went to two trailers, and then the third trailer, and then pretty soon it's a multi-trailer business, sending trailers all across the United States and Canada. These guys do it right, and let me tell you, there's no better family in Jackson County than the Eves family. And then also Temp Pro. Ask about financing on new upgrades. Sam and John Laster are the guys. Give them a call at 501-827-3213. White River Health. Caring beyond health care. Until next time, everybody, this is David Black from Cable 15 TV and Sports Unleashed. Thank you. See you next week.